You know what's fascinating? Studies show that 92% of New Year's resolutions fail by February, and the same pattern shows up in business. Most people give up right before consistency would start paying off.
That's such a powerful observation. And it ties directly into what research shows about successful businesses. They grow 30% faster when they maintain consistent engagement versus sporadic efforts.
Well, here's what really gets me thinking. We're always chasing the next big innovation or viral moment. But what if we're completely missing the point? What if success is actually much simpler than we think?
You're onto something there. The data consistently shows it's not about having the biggest budget or even the most innovative product.
Right. And you know what's really interesting? I've been looking at some of the most successful businesses in our market, and almost none of them were first movers in their space. They just showed up every single day and did the work.
That reminds me of a fascinating study I read. It takes an average of 66 days to form a new habit. But most businesses give up after just 2 weeks of trying something new.
Oh man, that's exactly the kind of misconception we need to address. People think success happens overnight, but it's really about those small, consistent actions over time. Like, what are some of the biggest myths you've seen around consistency?
Well, the first major myth is thinking you need to be perfect. I've seen so many entrepreneurs paralyzed by this idea that everything needs to be flawless before they can move forward.
You know what's crazy about that? I was just reading that businesses that launch with an imperfect product but iterate consistently actually outperform those that wait for perfection by nearly 40%.
That's exactly what makes this conversation so important. People don't realize that consistency actually beats perfection every time.
Let's break this down into practical terms. What does real consistency look like in business? Because I think people hear, be consistent, and they imagine this overwhelming mountain of daily tasks.
Think of it like compound interest. Small, regular deposits over time create exponential growth. For instance, companies that post content 3 times a week, every week, see 200% more engagement than those posting randomly, even if the random posts are higher quality.
That's fascinating, and it makes me think about how we can apply this to different areas of business, like, what about sales, customer service, product development?
So here's what the research shows. Businesses that implement regular follow-up systems, even simple ones, see a 50% higher customer retention rate than those with sporadic communication.
And I imagine this applies to team management too. I mean, how many times have we seen great initiatives fall apart because there wasn't a consistent system for implementation?
Oh my goodness, yes. Studies show that teams with regular, predictable communication patterns are 35% more productive than those without, regardless of the actual content of the communication.
You know what this reminds me of? The concept of minimum viable consistency. The idea that it's better to do something small consistently than something big sporadically. Like, what's the smallest action you can commit to doing every single day?
That's such a powerful framework. And it ties into the psychology of habit formation. Starting small but maintaining consistency creates stronger neural pathways than occasional big efforts.
Let's talk about the hard part though. Maintaining consistency when you're not seeing results, because that's where most people give up, right? When they're putting in the work, but not seeing the payoff?
Well, the data on this is actually pretty encouraging. Businesses that maintain consistent efforts for at least 6 months are 80% more likely to achieve their goals than those that give up earlier.
That's really interesting, because it suggests there's almost a testing period. Like the market needs to see if you're serious before it starts rewarding your efforts.
Exactly. And this is where automation and systems become crucial. They help maintain consistency even when motivation is low.
Speaking of systems, what are some practical ways people can build consistency into their business operations, like specific strategies that actually work?
The most effective approach I've seen is what's called the trigger stack method, linking new business habits to existing daily routines. It's shown to increase follow-through by 70%.
And I suppose this is where technology can really help, right? Using tools and automation to maintain consistency, even when we're not at our best.
Absolutely right. Businesses using automation tools for routine tasks show 23% higher consistency in their operations and save an average of 15 hours per week.
You know what this whole conversation is making me realize? Success isn't this mysterious, elusive thing. It's actually quite straightforward, just not easy.
That's the key insight. Consistency might not be exciting, but it's what builds lasting success in business. The data proves it time and time again.
Well, this has completely changed how I think about business growth. It's not about waiting for that one big break. It's about showing up every day and doing the work that matters.
And that's really the bottom line. Consistency beats luck, talent, and even the best ideas every single time.